Peace, family. Peace. You already know, man, we back with another episode. It's your boy Fame. It's for all my endeavors. Fame Digital 133. If you're not already, tap in, subscribe, comment, like, share, especially if you got like-minded individuals around you. Share with them, man. We back. It's a brand new episode. We've been on the hip-hop topic in New York heavy. So I wanted to continue that by going into New York radio, you know. And I'm gonna just start by prefacing it was early 90s, right? And I remember waking up early morning, pretty sure it was the weekend. Whole family was at the crib and the radio was on. Radio was always on in my house, you know, on Hot 97 at that time. It wasn't no 105.1. It was just Hot 97. And you had shit like 107.5, 98.7 Kiss. But the hip hop shit, the shit we was tapped into, Hot 97 was it. And I remember my parents being in the living room, surrounding the radio. Basically, it was the morning that Pac died. It was the morning Pac died. And I remember asking them, yo, what's going on? And my pops was like, Tupac got killed last night. And I remember not really knowing how to feel about it. I was still kind of young, fresh with hip hop. I knew of Tupac. Not gonna act like I was the biggest fan, especially at that age, especially being from New York. But I remember the stillness of the morning and the day. And at that time, like I said, this is Hot 97. This is New York radio. And they was breaking the news and they was playing all his records. So that memory stuck with me. And I remember it happening not too long after for one of my favorites, the Notorious B.I.G. as well. Because I'm sure both happened on Saturday night, because it was both fight nights. Yeah, it was either fight nights. I know Pox was a fight night, but I know Biggs, it was a Saturday night. It was either a party or a fight night. Can't really remember right now. I'm drawing a blank, but you get the picture. So I woke up same way. My people's being around the radio the same exact way, but this time it was for Big. And that one hit home because being from New York, he was the voice of the city at the time. And me being a young kid, adopting hip hop culture through my household, he was like one of those voices that I heard and that I correlated with. So losing Big and hearing it on the radio, I remember feeling, somber, sad about that one, It's a little bit older, not too much older, but the Pac situation has stuck with me. And Big situation. And then that's one of my early memories of New York radio. And I say that to say in the era that we in now, that news would have broke on Instagram, on YouTube. I didn't even see it on TV first. I literally heard it on the radio, So I say that to say whatever happened in New York radio? How did we get to where we are now with it? A lot of us don't really tune into it. The value of it has depreciated, knowing that, this is, if not the biggest, one of the biggest markets in the world. So what happened in New York radio? I think it began with it being less risk, more repetition. So less risk, more repetition, right? It was a time when that same era where I would literally listen to the radio in the daytime and you would get the commercial records, you would get those all the time. Of course, it's the radio. But I remember at nighttime where you had the Clues, the Flexes, whatever DJs was popping at that time. And this is the mixtape era. So that's another thing that we got to put in perspective as well. I remember being in front of the radio, coming home from school, getting homework, all that shit done, and being in front of the radio literally like around 8, 9 p.m. and just playing the game or it'll be Monday night mixtape. Everybody know, I'm from New York, DJ Clue, Monday night mixtape. I remember that shit vividly. Like, I would be in the crib. We would be watching WWF, WCW with the sound off with Monday night mixtape. And I would have a fresh tape on deck, a fresh cassette tape. For those of you under a certain age group, look up what a cassette tape is, a fresh cassette tape from the store, like $1 for a cassette tape. I had it ready, locked in. I put it in the cassette player as the radio was going. And then Monday nights, you would just sit there and just wait for this voice. Yeah, y'all. DJ Clue. Monday night mixtape. New Fab. And you will go crazy because he would start the show every Monday night with a new Fab freestyle. And at this time, they would play freestyles on the radio. So I say that to say, like, now it's less risk, more repetition. All of that stuff got pushed to the side, This was the mixtape era. This was early 2000s. You would hear the hottest, newest artists in the city on the radio at 8, 9 p.m. at night every Monday. It was there. You can go there and listen, and then you will know, oh, okay. The A-Team, oh, Stack Bundles, oh, Fab, oh, okay. Okay, G-Unit, oh, okay. That's how it was at one point with New York radio. So we say that to say, like, less risk, more repetition. Now it's kind of like it's programmed. It's programmed for the biggest records in the world, the biggest records on Billboard, and that's like a constant. So you hear the same 10 records now on the radio in New York. Nobody's trying anything new. Yeah, y'all. DJ Clue. Nobody's trying nothing new. Boom, boom, flex, dropping the bombs, talking over the record for 3 minutes. It was annoying, but it was authentic. And we don't got that no more in New York radio. So I think that's one point, which is less risk, more repetition. Nobody's trying nothing different. We in the same cycle with the same shit, and they're gonna play the same shit, and it's just a circle. That's what New York radio is now, Nothing groundbreaking. So that's less risk, more repetition. Another thing, and that's to piggyback off less risk, more repetition, which is corporate kill local culture. Corporate kill local culture. What is that? Big business. iHeart. Some of these companies, they locked in and purchased these radio stations and these radio shows, So now something in the 90s and early 2000s that might not have been such of a conglomerate and so corporatized. It was something of the culture, especially in New York. Like, New York, Hot 97 was culture. Cause like I said, it was no 105.1 at that time. We only had one hip hop station in New York, Hot 97. It was culture. The DJs, dressed like us. They talked like us. The VJs, they was us. But once corporate got involved, it's more looked at like, what's the numbers? What does numbers say? So it's not really about what's pushing culture. What's our bottom line? How are we going to exceed that? But the game shifted. It became, being that it was the hottest market in the world, they came in, they swooped in, and they corporatized it. And they created an infrastructure where it was no fresh, no brand new, no, it was just, you had to be known already to be on radio. And that leads into the next point that I got. So corporate killed local culture. Anybody ever heard of payola? Payola. Payola's been around for a very, very long time in the music industry. Payola is how these records get played on the radio for a long time. They might say payola disappeared, but it evolved. How did it evolve? Playlisting. Okay. So now we're in a streaming game. The labels, they control the music through streaming now. Streaming removed discovery because we're not putting out our own products anymore. You're not buying mixtapes no more, or the mainstream isn't. Everybody pays what they pay per month to listen to everybody's music. It's not intimate anymore. It's big business once again. So streaming, that came into play. Playlisting. People are paying to be on playlist. And the more streams you have, the more records you sell, which puts you in a position to be on Billboard if you're an artist of that ilk, or if you're an up-and-coming artist, it allows you to be noticed more because you're generating. So payola didn't disappear. It's not like the days where you pull up to the radio and drop off a brown bag. That might not be happening in most instances, but it is evolved to a new form of record labels. They have a budget. Like, it's a saying, it costs $250,000 to break a record. To get a number one record, it will cost you $250,000. You can literally pay for a number one record. So where do you think the funding goes? The funding goes to the radio, the media, the bloggers now. They're being paid to say what they like because it's paid programming, corporatized, big business. The 1%, they all intertwine. These record labels is owned by that 1% that does business with the same 1% that owns the radio stations. So payola didn't disappear. Honestly, it's evolved. It's another level now because it's actually legal now. 250,000 and get a hit record. Look it up. You could literally probably put out anything. And if you put $250,000 behind it into the right places, you will have a hit record. So let's do a quick mid recap. No risk equal more repetition. The reason why we got that is because corporate killed the local culture. They took over the radio, and payola never really disappeared. It just evolved into playlisting, which makes streaming prevalent, which removes the connection between the artist and the fan directly. That's why we push independent. That's why we push direct to consumer. That's what this whole page is about. You got to be able to get in touch with your fans. You got to touch them. They got to be able to call. They got to be able to email. They got to be able to reach out. They got to be able to have a piece of you by purchasing merch, albums, etc. We just did the mid recap. Now let's continue. Streaming remove discovery. Another thing that helped remove discovery is we did by having no more regional sound. Yeah. No more regional sound. I just said in the last video that hip hop evolved, you know? In New York, they say we are the curators, the inventors of rap, of hip hop. So normally the curator, the inventor, you know, they get bored and they move on with how they might have started creating, and they try other forms, especially when that original form is inspiring a whole world, which is producing their own forms of that form, and it's just going to come back. So that deteriorated our sound. We went with whatever was hot at the time, especially when it comes to the South. We didn't do it with the West because, you know, New York, Cali, LA, New York, West Coast, East Coast. Yeah, we didn't adopt their style. We didn't adopt their style. But the South, we adopted their style early, and we ran with it. Then that transformed to drill being invented in the Midwest and us adopting that style. Even if we add our own spin to it, sexy drill, we know where that sound derived from, and it didn't derive from us. So I say that to say, that's not no knock on the artist, but regional sound, we lost regional sound. We need to gain back regional sound. There need to be artists out here who sound like New York. That will help New York radio. That will force New York radio to play these artists. And that's not to say the records don't have to be radio-friendly records. But in our minds in New York, a radio-friendly record is a record from the South. A record that's like dumbed down. And it don't have to be like that. What happened to lifestyle records? What happened to anthems? New York culture. Things that we thrive at. What happened to those? So, no more regional sound. That put us in a place where we didn't stand out no more. We didn't stand out. So what do we expect? What is the DJ supposed to play? We adopting they sound. So hey, the DJ gonna play what the masses want. Obviously the masses want that since we adopting that. So we gotta look at it like that too. We lost our regional sound. And that's something that we working to get back. That's something that this page is pushing heavy. Me as an artist, me as a content creator, that's what we champion. Last but not least, algorithms over the culture. So I'm gonna end with that because we in a game where it's like what the numbers say. It's not what we feel. You know? That's why 90% of the artists that make content, the content isn't good because they're just playing the game. We found a lane for us to make the things that we could stand by and also create with our hearts. I create with my heart still. I don't use this. I use this. And I'm not scared to try things. So the algorithm says there's certain things that you shouldn't do. But I know where I fit in this scope, you know? So when the algorithms killed the culture, it just slimmed down everything. You just cut everything in half. With New York radio, they didn't have anything. We didn't have anything to stand on for them to play New York records because the algorithm said that that's not what people wanted. Because at the end of the day, it is business. Remember, music business. We just got to decide if we're going to play that game. So the algorithms was chosen over the culture. And that all stems back to us not having no more regional sound to stand out. And the reason we lost our regional sound is because the hand-to-hand man is out the window. Everything is streaming. It's only one block. Everybody got to buy the work from one block. Nobody's hand-to-hand anymore. Nobody's creating a relationship with their fans through intention. Payola, it didn't disappear, it evolved. And being that it evolved, the corporatization is what helped kill local culture. And once they realized that the local culture wasn't paying off, they stopped taking the risk. So when they stop taking the risk, we get the same repetition. In my opinion, that's what happened to hip hop. That's what happened to hip hop on New York radio. We lost our way, so the radio went with us. And now we want it back. Now we might say, hey, what happened in New York radio? But as much as they played a part in corporatizing the radio, we played a part in helping them by not staying true to our art and our sound. Let me know what y'all think about this, man. Leave it in the comments. What happened in New York radio? Tap in, like, subscribe, comment. For all my endeavors, Fame Digital 133. I see y'all on the next one.